Hello, and welcome to Unit 3. This third unit is by far my favorite one to talk about because it allows teachers and other professionals to utilize the tools and programs they're already familiar with. So today we're going to talk about two different aspects of some really cool smart technology. The first is Smart Ink, and the second is the Floating or Board Tools app. And so those two things allow you to do basically, you can write right over top of your favorite programs, whether it be PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, Keynote, you can do it over Google Earth, even videos will work with this. So let's jump right in and we'll get started, and I'll show you how this whole thing works. Usually, right as you plug your USB into your computer, the Smart Ink app will automatically launch. To see if yours is launched, take a look at the top of each program you're using, and you ought to see this green Smart Ink tab on the top of your program. This is a tab that you can move around anywhere that you want. So for example, if I wanted to move this thing across here, I could do that just by dragging this little sort of multi-dotted edge of that thing. If your Smart Ink tab is not green but yellow, check the connection on the actual laptop. And if you actually don't know if yours is on or not, what you can do is at the bottom of your computer, or whether you have a Mac or PC, it's different, but for me it's a Mac. I'm going to go into the Smart Technologies folder, and then I'm going to turn on the Smart Ink, which is right here. Okay, so the Smart Ink is a little program that has a little gray box with a pen moving around it. That's how you enable the actual program to launch. And again, most of the time it'll automatically launch upon you plugging your laptop into the smartboard. So let me show you how this works a little bit. So let me turn the lights off here for you so you can see a little bit better. And you'll notice if I hit play on my presentation software, again, this works with both PowerPoint and Keynote, you'll see this Smart Ink tab at the top right-hand corner that stays there. When I pick up the pen, what happens is this thing will slide out, and you'll have two options. You can either write with your hand, your finger, or the pen itself. The way a smartboard works is simply the smartboard recognizes when the pen is picked up. Once the pen is picked up, the board itself is saying, okay, he wants to write in red. So whether I use the end of this pen or not, it'll still write, okay? I can use my finger, and I can also use the pen itself. To erase, I can of course just use the old-fashioned eraser and just kind of go over what I just did. Or I could go up here, click on that little tab, and some options appear. One of them is Clear Ink. So I can hit that and it all goes away. There's a third way to do this as well, but I'm going to save that to Unit 4 for the advanced features. So for now, just know that you can erase with that Smart Ink and the eraser going around the old-fashioned way, so to speak. So with this Smart Ink, again, I pick it up and I can tap on it, and what you can do is you can enable 4 different colors, all the ones I have down here, and you can enable also calligraphic ink. So that's the difference between writing kind of in calligraphy versus regular, my ordinary handwriting. You can also utilize 2 different color highlighters. Here's yellow, and here is green. And you can, of course, highlight different parts of the text if you have text on your board, and if you draw horizontally or vertically, the smartboard automatically will, notice that and straighten your line for you. Okay, so if I do that, you can see how it goes automatically straight. And again, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to say Clear Ink, and I'm back to square one. Now, this works the same way PowerPoint does. So when my pen is down, if I just touch the board, it goes to the next slide. So if I want to talk about the Roman Empire, I can just pick up my pencil again, or my pen. Okay, I can choose my size here. This here shows me that in different sizes. Okay, I can use a highlighter as well. If I wanted to show where the Roman Empire, kind of was the extent, I can literally draw it right on the board. Right? So the Roman Empire was right, all through the Mediterranean realm. That's hard to see. You can kind of outline it in red. can literally just write right over top of the map that I put on the board. And again, I can just hit clear ink, and it goes away. All I got to do to go to the next slide is just tap the board again. And I can write all kinds of stuff right on top of the actual board itself. I can do pictures, I can do, maps, I can do videos I can write over top of. So it's a really great way to emphasize key concepts when teaching a lesson, any given lesson, whether it be Roman Empire, language arts-based, science-based, etc. So I'm going to erase this. And go to my next slide. And again, I wanted to point out to you that this also works directly on top of videos.
Ambition, conquest, lust, murder, and the power of unrivaled technology. These are the corners.
So I can write right over top of the actual video, highlight different parts here. There's a little dude right there, I don't know. But you can make this as complex or as simple as you want to do it. But the possibilities here, I think, are almost endless. So I think this is a really great way and a great use of the smartboard itself. So let's take a look at, so here, I'll give you an example. That's of Keynote or PowerPoint. It works also with things like Google Earth. So if I go right over here, you could do a lesson on geography. You could talk about the northern states versus the southern states. Right? Here's the Mason-Dixon line. Here's the north. Here's the south. Okay? And the possibilities here are pretty much endless. If I wanted to write, let me show you what calligraphic ink looks like. Okay? Makes your handwriting a little bit better. Someone like me who has terrible handwriting helps me out to be a little bit more fancy on the board when I write. So that is, again, that's Google Earth. And finally, you can use Microsoft Word. You could create outlines for kids and then highlight key concepts you want them to know. Okay. Okay. You could draw little diagrams. Whatever. So I really believe that Smart Ink is much more valuable to me as an educator than the notebook software, because I feel like what I'm used to and what I already have made up can be integrated seamlessly with the smartboard itself. So let me show you what the smartboard floating tools are like then. To access floating tools, you'll have to go into your smartboard Smart Technologies folder. For me, it's on my dock, but for you, maybe on your desktop. And simply enable by going to Smart Tools. You want to click on where it says Floating Tools, or it might even say Board Tools. And what that does is it'll bring up this little side tab for you on the left-hand side or right-hand side, doesn't really matter. And what that allows you to do is suddenly now you have access to the tools that are essentially in the Smart Notebook suite at your disposal in your PowerPoint presentations, your Microsoft Word files, and in my case, I have Keynote here. So again, the most, I think, earth-shattering aspect of the Smart Technology is this integration piece that they've so carefully added onto their suite that I think really transforms what you can do with lessons you already have at your disposal. Things you already made last year, the year before, you can actually just make them better by putting them on a smartboard, okay? And using this board, this side board tool right here. Again, I have a thick marker felt here. I've got different color highlighters and stuff. Again, that's a green highlighter right there. You can kind of see the transparency of it there. I have a screen capture tool. I have a screen shade. A couple other things like, I have a shade adder. I can even include a spotlight if I wanted to highlight a particular area of my PowerPoint. I could do that as well. So again, you essentially are given access to many of the same tools that you would otherwise have if you used the Smart Notebook. Okay? And again, they're conveniently located in this little side tab for you. And you can customize what's in this side tab as well. If you don't want all this stuff, you want to make it simple, click on the cog at the bottom, and you can simply drag things off of here, and they'll go away. You want the calculator, get rid of it. If you want to add, again, if you want to add the screen capture back or whatever, you can just pop it right there, and there it is. So I hope that makes, doing some of these activities more accessible, because the key thing here with this whole web-based instructional module is to make you feel more comfortable using the tools that you already have. Okay? So that about does it for me in this Unit 3. We've talked about, again, the Smart Ink. We've also talked about the Smart Board tools, or sometimes called floating tools. So stay tuned for the last and final unit, Unit 4, where I go over some of the more advanced features and some of the more cool things you can do with some gesture motions and other things that are kind of more proficient level stuff in the Smart Board world. Okay? Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.